Unzipped with Sherry is a bariatric podcast talking about weight loss surgery. I am not a licensed professional. Any views and or opinions expressed in the show are those of the speakers and do not reflect the bariatric community as a whole. Always reach out to a professional with any medical issues you are experiencing. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unzipped with Sherry. With obviously, it's yours truly. It's Sherry. First and foremost, I want to thank Chris so much for last week. He was unbelievable on the show. And for this week, we have a very special guest. We have Dee Dee in the house. I've only known Dee Dee for a couple months now, but it seems like I have known her for years. She's one of the sweetest people in the world. She is currently just celebrating her 6-month Surgiversary. And I bet if you ask her, she will tell you it probably seems like just yesterday she was having her 1-ounce sips and getting out of the hospital. So I'm really honored that she has taken time and my little potty here to chat with me all things bariatrics. So as you guys know, we will be live throughout the entire show. You are welcome to comment, ask questions, give feedback, whatever you want. Just please don't tell me it's bad because I cannot handle that kind of feedback right now. But on that note, Dee Dee, I hope that you are ready because we're about to get unzipped. This is what happens when you're live. We all have a story on how we got here, right? So for me, I used to be over 350 pounds until one day I made the single decision that I wanted change. Weight loss surgery has saved my life, and now I am here for you. I want to hear your story. You know, the one that happened during that before and after picture. It's time to unzip. What's your story? Hi!
How are you?
I am doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's been a great day.
It has been a great day. And so first and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day today to come and talk to me all things bariatric and share your story. So first and foremost, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's going to be fun.
I'm excited.
I know.
So as people know, one of the reasons why I really wanted to do this show is I feel like bariatric surgery has grown exponentially, especially over the last few years. And then what's often happening is people are seeing these before and after pictures, and they'll see a transformation like Dee Dee after only 6 months. And they're like, I want what she has. Sign me on the dotted line. Like, let's go. And I think what often happens is people don't realize how much story has taken place between that before and after picture. And that's one of the purposes of the show is I want to bring people on here and let's kind of fill in the gaps a little bit and talk about, you know, the before surgery, the after surgery, what we're doing now, where we're moving from here. So I think that for people who are watching right now that might know you from TikTok, but do they really know Dee Dee?
Probably not.
So for those who don't know Dee Dee all that well, I thought that we would start a little bit with the origin story.
Ooh.
All right.
Well, let's see. So from the time I was younger, me and my sister, we always flip-flopped with our weight. She was either skinnier and I was bigger, or vice versa. She was bigger and I was skinnier. And then when I woke up and I was 12 years old, I had a set of triple D boobs. I was puberty overload. My mom was like, "What in the world happened?" And then from that point on, I just kept being the bigger girl. Um, and I would go through spurts where I would lose weight, and then I would gain it back, lose weight, gain it back. And then once I hit my teens, it was pretty much from there. And in my early 20s, it was just I was always the thicker person. Go ahead.
Now, I was gonna say, when you were going through puberty or like at a young age, was it literally like with me? You literally woke up one day and there was just boobs. Like there was no training bra phase. There was
No,
like none of
no,
that.
no. My mom literally freaked out and had to take me to the store before I went to school because I literally woke up and was out to here.
Okay,
And
so
she was like, "What did you do while you were asleep?" And I'm like, "I slept."
Like I just like woke up and they just like grew out of nowhere. You know, okay, but you know what? Kudos to your mom for taking you out. My mom did not take me or talk to me about boobs. You know what she did?
What did she do?
I'm so glad you asked. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. I used to play Little League in a league of only boys. I was the only girl in Little League. And my coach had a daughter who was only 5 years old at the time. And he told my mom that, because I got boobs very, very quickly, that for my safety and protection on the field, I needed to start wearing a bra, you know, like guys wear cups. My mom could not have that conversation with me. So she told him, Mr. Baseball Coach, that he had to have a conversation with me about it. And I will never forget being 10 years old outside of first base. And my coach, who never had to deal with his daughter yet because she's only 5 years old, he's like, now, Sherry, there comes a time in a young girl's life, and he's like all nervous. And I'm like, are you trying to talk to me about my swing? Am I not like crouching far enough? Like, do I like crowd the plate a little bit better? Like, I have no idea what he's getting at. And he's getting so antsy that he's like, Sherry, you need to wear a bra. And I was like, oh,
Oh, thanks.
and I was like so mortified. I'm looking around and I'm like, where's my mom? Like, why is this happening? Where's mom? She's in right field with the coach's wife, laughing their
Nothing.
asses off because they were so embarrassed that they did not have that. They're thankful that they didn't have to be the ones to have a conversation. So yeah, that was my experience when it was time to start wearing bras.
Yeah, no, I literally woke up and my mom, my sister, because my sister's 3 years older than me, were like, where did they come from? And I'm like, I literally went to sleep last night, and here they are.
That's insane. So did the weight start kind of creeping on back then because of the hormones of it, or was there like something else going on?
Um, it was a little bit of both. My dad wasn't a very emotional person when we were growing up. So there was a lot of, I won't say he was like a drill sergeant because he wasn't really. He was just not a very connecting type of father. He wasn't the I love you, the come here, let's do this, let's do that. It was always me, my sister, and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the heavier I got and the more depression I started getting into, the more I would eat. Um, and then the more comments that I would hear is I was bigger, I needed to stop eating. I was always going to be overweight. I was going to end up just like my grandma that was overweight, which it actually killed her. So all of those comments, I think, and just the not having the connection with your parent, kind of
Yeah.
off. And I told this story the other day to Jessica on live. She did a Q&A with me, but there's one story that sticks out is I don't know. I think I got in trouble about something. I was probably 11 or 12 years old. And my dad was like, all right, well, get up from the table. You're not going to eat because we were in this heated discussion. He was like, you're just going to starve to death tonight. You're not going to eat. And so I actually went to my room and my closet was my hideaway. So I literally had a pillow and a blanket in my closet and I locked myself in my closet. And my mom literally brought me a chicken wing back there and she was like, here, eat this. I'm not going to let you starve.
Okay, let me tell you why that just hit me right in the feels is I've never really told this story to anybody, but I was a very depressed teenager because when you grew up your entire life around boys and then you get to puberty and your body's changing and boys are now interested in girls, you are no longer relevant to the conversation because you are a damper on the hunt for ladies.
Yeah.
So I didn't have female friends and then I was constantly depressed and I just had like this screaming memory. I used to sit in my closet and listen to cheesy love songs on the radio, and I would bawl my eyes out. And people who know me now, I'm not an emotional person. And I think that could be one of the reasons why I'm not emotional. I bawled my eyes out in the closet, and I remembered writing on the back of the closet because I would sit in there, please help me. And I dated it.
It was on the back. It was on the back side of my wall. It wasn't on my
Mm-hmm.
door. I did.
And that was, I think it was like 1996 or 19, I was like 14 or 15 years old.
Mhm.
My mom just sold her house last year and we were cleaning out the house and packing it up. And I was in the closet and I saw something on the wall and I happened to look on the wall and I was like, holy shit,
Still there.
I forgot all about that.
Mhm. Yeah. So that was my runaway, and that's what I would do is I would put my headphones because back then it was the headphones, the little tape deck
Mhm.
cassette, Poison and Metallica and Donna Summers and
Mhm.
stuff. And so like that was me because my sister being older, I always hung out with her and her friends. And it was always guys and it was always boys. And so like I was always the outcast unless I was with my sister. And so
Right.
I think just all of that and then the way my dad acted, it just went from there and food was my coping mechanism
Mm.
completely. Um So to fast forward a little while after I hit my teens and then I hit my 19 and 20 years old, um, I decided that I needed a baby.
Oh.
Um, yeah. Yeah, surprise. Yeah. Um, I actually moved out of my mom and dad's house at 17 years old and thought I knew everything.
We all do.
Yes, we all do. So
Mhm.
I ran the streets with my friends, even though I was working, had my own car, was doing what I wanted to do. And then at 18, 19 years old, I moved out of state and I met this boy and I fell in love and thought he was the best thing running. Well, he decided he was moving, and then my mom and my dad decided they were going to get a divorce. So I moved back home, and 6 months later, I found out I was pregnant with a whole baby, not just a couple of weeks pregnant, but a whole live baby.
What?
Yeah. So that packed on 90 pounds. Um, and then so I had her in December of 20. Oh my gosh. No, I'm sorry. 2001 is when she was born. So, she's 21 now.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah. Um, I wasn't in a relationship. I was doing it by myself. My dad actually completely ignored me for the first 2 years that she was born because I got pregnant, didn't have a husband, and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
that was rough. Not having your complete parents, both of them, to help you. So of course, food was my mechanism. Um, and then for whatever reason, 16 months later, I decided to do it again and have another baby with a loser that decided that drugs and other women were a lot more important than his pregnant girlfriend and the baby that was in the womb.
Right, of course.
So more depression, more food. I think I gained like 60 pounds with her. So add on the 90 I'd already had the year before. Really didn't lose any baby fat other than, a little bit, and then got pregnant again 16 months later and gained 60 more. So, of course, at this point, I was big. I was at least close to 300 at that
Okay.
point. Um,
By the age of like 21, you said, right?
oh, yeah, at
Yeah.
21, easy. Um, Well, then the youngest father, the loser, decided that he was one day going to hit my oldest in the face so hard that it bruised her skull. So he went to jail. Um, a lot of things happened. I spiraled out of control at that point. So, of course, was eating and um, got mixed into some stuff that I didn't need to be doing.
Right.
Alcohol was my friend. Um, Other things became my friend. Um, And then at that point, I kind of woke up and was like, okay, enough is enough because I did have the two girls, so I needed to wake up and be a mother. I started working at a job that I was working 14, 16 hours a day. So I really couldn't be a mother. At that point, I had to give my two girls to my sister because I didn't have any help. I didn't have
Right.
a father. I didn't have my dad wasn't helping. My mom could do what, as little as my dad would let her. Um, And so at that point, my sister had the girls for probably about 2.5 years. And at that point, because I was working so much, I lost about 150 pounds
Just naturally.
just naturally. Because I was working at Pizza Hut, I was in front of the heater in the ovens, I was walking all the time, I was moving. So I lost 150 pounds naturally at that point. So I was healthy. I was, thought I was pretty, thought I was doing better. Fought, got my kids back. Well, I didn't have to turn them over to her, but I just gave them to her. But I got the girls back, got into a house, was doing really good. Probably about 2 years later, I met this guy. A year later, we got married. That was in 2010. We got married in Destin, Florida on the beach. Beautiful wedding. Great guy. Thought he hung the moon. I was sadly mistaken. He decided that he needed porn and a female in Alabama and a female in Florida, and we were living in
Oh,
Georgia. So, of course, depression started hitting. Why was I not good enough? I wasn't loved. What did I do? So, of course, the pounds started packing on. I got probably up to about, I don't know, probably up to about 240, 250, 260, somewhere in there.
okay.
I moved. My dad built me and the girls a house out on his property, so I moved out there. And I tried to do everything that I could. I got on diet pills. I got on Adipex. I did every diet known to man, and nothing worked. I would lose it. I would gain it. I would lose it. I would gain it.
Which, you know, I don't understand why you had an issue with obesity, because your life seems like it was really perfect and smooth sailing and easy. Obviously,
sure.
obviously, I'm joking. Like, you know, it's just it's so interesting that I wish more people understood that, you know, there's such a stigma with obesity as you just don't know how to put the fork down, you're lazy. And the more and more people I talk about who have had this surgery and that have struggled with obesity, almost every single person, with the rare exception that it could be a genetic disorder or an issue, it's all relative to a lot of lack of emotional support,
Mhm.
any kind of either childhood or young adulthood abuse or trauma or emotional disconnection that created this brand new relationship for food, because food doesn't let you down. Food's not going to yell at you. Food's not going
Yeah.
to cause you to go into the closet. And it's just it breaks my heart to hear people having to go through the kind of things that you go through, and I resonate with it because a lot of what you're saying is similar things that I have gone through in my own life.
Yeah.
And one, it's nice to know that you're not alone, and where the hell were you 20 years ago
Yeah.
or whatever. But and especially because I know your heart now, and I already know you on the other side of this story.
Yeah.
It's more of a testament to your character, being the person that you are now knowing more of the backstory
Yeah.
on where you came from. It's very inspiring.
I appreciate it. But I did forget one story.
Okay.
When the girls were probably 3 and 1 years old, I ended up did finding a guy in the middle of all the chaos when they were little, but that guy ended up committing suicide in front of me and the girls. And so that part also spiraled, and that started the PTSD, the first part of it. And then, of course, then it worked up into the husband and all of that. So, yeah, that was, I meant to
Yeah.
backtrack to that. But
That's
yeah, it's,
that's kind of a huge bombshell just kind of dropping, like, oh yeah, by the way, this really, really, really traumatic thing just happened, like in the middle of all of this chaos. Yeah, the thing that sucked the worst. Yeah, that
yeah,
happened in there too, by the way.
yeah, yeah, it did.
Jesus.
Yeah. So it's definitely been an emotional roller coaster. It's not been easy by no means. Um, between the PTSD with him, because I mean, he literally done it in front of me. He was literally probably this close to me. Um, and my oldest can tell you exactly what happened. She could tell you what happened when she was 3 and 4 years old. Um, and then to have, you meet somebody that you think that loves you and then do what he did for, I mean, I tried it for 6 years. I honestly did, because I honestly gave him 6 years of my life. I'm like, we can fix it, put the
Mhm.
porn down, oh, he'll stop, all the things that men tell you that they're going to do and they're going to stop. And then, they show their true colors. And I
Yeah.
finally, at that point, I had done had enough, and I ended the divorce. And then at that point, we moved into the house at my dad's. And then 2 years later, so to continue the story, I ended up moving up here. Gigi, I want some water. Sorry.
You're fine.
Here, you can take it with you. Take it over there.
Okay, here's my water.
Yeah.
We got our hair in the background.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, wipe down there while we're
Okay.
outside.
Okay, go in there.
Why do you have a mirror?
I don't have a mirror. So then I moved up here. I've been up here in North Carolina for 4 years. And it's that of moving and stuff. I was still losing and gaining. But I had a little bit more of a backbone on me. And was handling life okay. And then 3 years or a year in of being up here, my oldest daughter decided that she was going to have a baby, hence the little one. I had begged her and pleaded with her, get on birth control, get protection, because she decided to stay in Georgia. She didn't want to move up here when me and my youngest did.
Right.
Begged her to get on birth control. She didn't want to listen. Her and the baby's father decided that they knew what the world was about. She got pregnant.
I wonder where she gets that from.
I don't know. It's the darndest thing.
Right?
I thought she had a manual that we didn't know about or something. I mean, if so, I need it.
Can I get a copy of that, please, if you have a chance?
Yeah. As soon as I find it, I'll get it to you. I'll upload it with your book.
There you go. Be a twofer.
Yeah, twofer. And so my mom actually helped raise her for the first year of her life. My mom was great. She was wonderful. And then November of that year, which was 2020, I decided that I was going to get the baby because mom was in her 50s at this point. She was still working full time. She had had enough. She had been robbed from them because they were living in her house. Plus, her ex-husband was giving her trouble. So, she was in a world of her own. She needed to be able to live. She didn't need to be able to raise a 1-year-old at that point or 2-year-old. So I went and got her in November of 2020. I've had her since. So I actually completely started over of being a mother. Because at that time my youngest was fixing to graduate high school. And I was sure she was going to be out of the house soon, which she is now. But yes, I started completely over and now she's 3. In 2021, of April of 2021, we got the phone call that my grandfather was not doing so good. So we all headed to Georgia and we watched him take his last breath with my mother. He died in her arms. And then meantime, I was still in North Carolina. I came back and, things were okay. And, life was moving on and I was raising the baby and mom was doing a little bit better. My sister was in Florida at that time. And, June of the same year, so a matter of 3 months went by after my grandfather. Me and my sister were on the phone call on a Sunday because my mom wasn't answering the phone. And it wasn't like her. She always answered the phone. And so we couldn't get anybody to get her on the phone. We sent my grandfather's old nurse that used to take care of him over there, and she couldn't get her to the door. So my sister was on one phone, and on the other phone, she was calling the police and the EMTs. And it felt like forever. The police was like, the EMT was like, we can't go in there until the police get here. And I mean, Sherry, it was like time just completely stopped. It took them probably 20 minutes to get in the door. And the only thing that I can remember is me and my sister screaming because the EMT told us that she was dead. She died in her sleep.
But there was no foul play or anything, that she just died naturally.
She had COPD already. And so she had her breathing machine mask on, and she just laid there like she did every night with her machine on, just didn't wake up the next morning.
That's tough.
And I can still wake up screaming because that's what me and my sister were doing. We're screaming on the phone.
Right.
And we were literally screaming at her, wake up, mama, wake up, wake up. And when you go from talking to the one person that has always had your back no matter what you did go through and no matter the trials and tribulations that you went through and the ups and downs, from 10 to 15 times a day to absolutely nothing. It's shattering.
It 100%. I've talked about it before. I had my best friend, he was like my little brother, who passed away unexpectedly at 27 on Valentine's Day. And you go from talking to somebody every single day, and I don't know, like, I guess it's in a weird way, like, we think we're immortal. Like, it's not until you have like some kind of a crazy tragedy. And in your case, you're like, go big or go home. You've had like a handful of really traumatic things that most people in their lifetime would not have even have experienced one of these things. And you've had to experience, multiple things at different times of your life. And it's just, it actually stuns me, because like you get to a point where, like you said, you're talking to these people every single day, and the rest of the world continues moving, and you can't function. You feel very paralyzed because you don't, like, you're grieving, you're in shock, your adrenaline is going, like, you're trying to decipher, you're questioning everything. What could I have done differently? How could I have helped prevent this or whatever? Like, but
Yeah.
meanwhile, everything else around you is moving at regular speed, and you're almost like, how the hell can people just like function right now? Like, how are people going to work, and how are people, going to the store? And you're like, I mean, like, in this weird metaphorical way, I mean, like, life continues to go on, but when you're in the middle of that,
You're just
where are you supposed to turn to now? And based on what you said, I'm reading between the lines, there were certain vices that you had relied on in the past that you're not relying on right now in that moment.
right.
So I'm going to say that it's pretty safe to assume you went back to the first love of food.
Food. Yeah. I literally spiraled out of control. I would eat all day.
Mm-hmm.
I would eat up till I went to bed, and that could be 12, 1 o'clock in the morning because I just couldn't sleep. Um, it would be hamburgers, it would be hot dogs, it would be pizza, it would be sweets, it would be chocolate, it would be Snickers bar, it would be ice cream, it would be popcorn. It was whatever I thought would soothe me for the moment,
Right.
which is stupid, but it was the only thing that I could do. It was the only thing that I knew that I could do and control was just feeding my face. Was feeding my face.
I don't even want to ask what that was.
Laptop, we found a laptop.
She jumped off the bench.
We found a laptop right here. Try to put me back.
Yes.
Thank you.
So put it on her bed. Do not drop it, please. Hold it tight. So yeah, I went back to food. And at that point I got up to 340 pounds.
And so what, like, with everything that you've gone on in your life, now you not only have, kids that are growing up, but now you're starting over again with like the mom process. Like, you have like new little ones that are like now part of the circle. At what point do you just decide, how I've been doing this is not working? I need, like, something needs to change.
So after my mom died, my sister decided that she was going to move up here from Florida because she didn't want to be too far in case something happened to me or to the baby. And she decided that she was going to come up here and help me keep her during the day. And we both struggled. I mean, we still struggle now as far as mentally and just trying to make it through each day without our mom. And so April of last year of 2022, I just went in my bathroom and I completely had a complete breakdown to the point where I was screaming at myself in the mirror. One, because I was fat, I was ugly, I was hideous, I was tired of trying clothes on, I was tired of buying bigger clothes, I was tired of going to the store not looking right, I was tired of not being able to buy smaller clothes. I was tired of eating. I was tired of being miserable. I wasn't able to walk around Walmart without huffing and puffing. I can't breathe. I couldn't do anything that I knew I was going to have to do for her. So I literally just snapped in my own bathroom, screaming at myself, cussing every word under the book. My sister come running in there and she's like, "What is wrong?" And I'm like, "I can't do it anymore. I literally mentally cannot do it anymore." And she's like, "What do we need to do? What do you want to do?" And I said, at this point, we had gotten my mom's life insurance. I said, "I just want to look into weight loss surgery." I was like, "I've got to be able to live. I've got to be able to have a somewhat normal life. I've got to be able to chase her. I've got to be able to live the next 18 years for her. Not for myself, but for her, because she doesn't have anybody but us."
Right.
Um, so literally just stopped what I was doing. I got in the shower. I stayed in the shower probably 45 minutes, cried my eyes out. I got out. I put my big girl panties on. I started Googling. I started on TikTok. I actually found EOC, which is in Mexico, on TikTok. I started watching
So
their videos.
is EOC like a facility in Mexico?
Yeah, it's actually
Okay.
Elias Ortiz, which is the doctor.
Okay.
Company. It's his actual company. There are several doctors there. He is the main physician or surgeon. So I just started watching TikToks. I started Googling. I went to his website. I talked to several people on TikTok about them. I went to their Facebook group page. I joined that. I asked a crap load of questions. I mean, I wrote down several questions. I asked whoever I could find to ask, I asked. I actually talked to a friend of mine in Georgia. She told me that her cousin actually went to them. So I talked to her personally. She had lost, I think, 180 pounds by her year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
So I got information from her. And then in May, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. So I submitted my paperwork. They approved me within 72 hours because you fill out this whole health questionnaire. And the only reason I went that route is because my insurance calls it a selective surgery. It's not something that they will pay for.
Oh, see, that's what I was going to ask you about that. I was wondering why your first place was to go to Mexico and if you had tried to go through the insurance route.
Because they deem it as a selective surgery and not an
Got it.
actual absolute death or life or death.
Got
Which
it. Okay.
in our eyes it is, because we're literally killing ourselves by eating. But they don't deem it as that way.
And that's actually kind of surprising because you just had the surgery 6 months ago. And like now, when I had it 8.5 years ago, there was insurance companies were just starting to cover it on a more mainstream basis. It was still technically a selective surgery back then, but now like most all insurance companies cover it. That's why I'm kind of surprised that yours wouldn't.
I've heard people say that it's the company, but then I've heard people say it's like your employee, the way the employer sets it up. I don't know, but I just know
Got
that
it.
we weren't going to pay for it.
Okay.
And so I went that route. I got approved. And then I had to submit like a 3 days that they could choose or would let me know what day was available as far as surgery is concerned. And with them, they pretty much want you to get a passport just to make it easier for you to cross the border. So the only reason, even though I had started in April and May, the only reason I had extended it out to July was because I was waiting on my passport, which it ended up
Okay.
taking 3 weeks. So I still had to wait a whole month, which was kind of depressing and had my nerves all racked out.
Usually
But
how
I
it
was
is.
ready. But so my sister was like, "You're not going alone." So I bought my sister and my plane tickets. We were ready to go.
I don't like too much
Okay, go throw in the trash, please. And then watch your tablet. So July the 19th come along. We decided we were going to go to San Diego for an extra day. We stayed in San Diego on the 19th. On the 20th, we Ubered back to the airport. The shuttle, they send a van or a shuttle to pick you up, and they pick you up with everybody that's flying in the same day. So there was
Okay.
probably about, I think there was like 10 of us there at my zone, because they put you in different zones. And so we all got in vans. They drive you across the border. They took us to the hotel first. We dropped off our companions first, and then the companions stay at the hotel. Well, they did when I went. They stay at the hotel. They get your room key, and then they take you to your pre-op stuff. So my pre-op stuff, which beforehand I actually I only had to do like a 2-week pre-op, but I actually did 4. I made myself do 4.
You mean as far as like the pre-op diet?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I already suffer from migraine, so I knew that coming off sugar was going to beat me down.
Yeah.
And so my sister was so supportive. She even did the diet with me. So we started in June, and we did the entire month of June, and we pretty much did the entire month of June and the entire month of July. So actually went longer than that. And so I did that, and then we got on the plane. We got there. They take us to your border. At that point, their pre-op stuff was only like a CAT scan and your blood work and that kind of thing. They've changed it up now. And then you go back to the hotel. You spend one night in the hotel, and then the next morning they take you to the hospital. And I got to the hospital at 8 o'clock, and I had surgery at 9:30 at night.
That's crazy. So I have a question. Because of the history and the stuff that you had gone through and the insurmountable amount of like death and stuff that you had experienced, now that you're in a situation where like your kids are grown up, they're young adults, but you have like these little ones. I don't have kids yet, dot dot dot. But I remember being really excited about having the surgery. I was usually like 80, like you're nervous, like, anything can happen. But there was something that shifted in me the night before where I came to the realization that there is basically a 50-50 chance that I might have this surgery and never wake up again. And I had never had surgery. I had never had anesthesia. I don't have kids, but I had a husband. And I remember it became like this very overwhelming feeling like, am I making the right decision? Because what happens if I don't make it out of this? So because of like how I view my husband and how much that scared me, I can't really wrap my head around had I had kids, especially, your grandbaby who's like really young. Did you have any of those kind of thoughts going through your mind the night before, or you weren't thinking about it so much?
So the week of, I actually wrote my will out. Just because, like you said, it's 50-50 chance I could get in there and have a heart attack or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be, or because I was already overweight or stroke it out or he hit the wrong thing or whatever. So yeah, I literally had already wrote my will out the week of. And I pretty much gave everything to my sister. And then of course I have life insurance. So, I gave her strict details in case something happened to me. And
Right.
I wrote details out as far as who needed to get her and what I requested from the lawyer for her, So yeah, I had all those thoughts because I'm like, I've lost my mom. I've lost so much in such a short time. I was scared crapless, to be honest with you, the week before. And then once I got there, it was like something snapped, and I was like, you know what? I got this. We're gonna roll with it. I'm gonna rock it out. I'm gonna have surgery, and I'm gonna do the best that I can. Because I'd already had 6 surgeries, so going under was not a problem. I knew coming out that I was gonna be sick. I knew coming out anesthesia doesn't like me.
What kind
Right.
of food do you want?
I knew coming out I was going to be sick because anesthesia doesn't like me.
Me neither.
So I was prepared for that. I wasn't as prepared as I should have been. But yeah, I'd already had 6 surgeries between a breast reduction, hysterectomy, an ablation, a neck surgery, carpal tunnel surgery. So I was prepared surgery wise.
Holy crap. This definitely wasn't your first rodeo.
Yeah, no, no,
Oh my gosh.
no, definitely wasn't my first rodeo. So I had surgery, like I said, at 9:30 on July 21st. I think the waiting part was the worst because I literally waited all day long. And my nerves were okay. My roommate, on the other hand, she was spastic. So I think watching her was more of amusement, really, which is kind of mean. But like she was spazzing out, and I'm like trying to calm her down, and like I'm just like high to the ceiling. I'm ready to get it over with. I'm like, hey, come cut my stomach, give me a new belly, all good stuff. And then all Hades broke out after I woke up, and I literally was sick for 72 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
So like you can't have like any part of your journey in life just kind of be like an easy Sunday morning kind of a day. Like you
I
just have
cannot
to like
all the time.
what else you gonna throw at me today?
Pretty much. I can't have sunshine and rainbows.
Gosh.
They blew 3 veins.
Of course they did.
This arm was all black and blue. My hand got to about that big because the
Oh.
medicine was just sitting inside my skin. And because of that, I wasn't getting the nausea medicine, so I literally threw up for 72 hours. To the point where I was throwing up blood and blood clots and
Oh my
stomach.
god.
Didn't sleep, couldn't sleep, because obviously they couldn't get me anything in my veins to help me sleep.
Wait, throwing up ridiculously doesn't like soothe you and make you tired? Not, no.
No, not at all.
Not so much?
No, not so much. Maybe you, but no, not so much.
No. Oh my.
So yeah, it was definitely the rough first 72 hours afterwards.
You probably, I'm thinking that you were probably regretting life those days and decision.
I really was. I was like, what the hell did I do? Did I really do this? Is this worth it? Is it going to be worth it in the long run? I was ready to go home. I was ready to sleep in my bed.
Right.
And they usually keep you in the hospital 2 days. I ended up having to stay in the hospital 3 days. And then they keep you at the hotel for 2 days. So I only got to stay at the hotel 1 day. So like all the plans that I had as far as doing like the Tijuana tours and going out and walking and having fun with everybody, no. I was miserable. I was laid up in the motel room trying to sleep and throwing up.
So let me ask you a question. You just celebrated your 6-month anniversary. Looking back in the last 6 months, not even just the last 6 months, we can even go back further, like years ago. If you like knowing where you are right now and knowing where your journey is taking you and knowing that the first few days was freaking torture. If there was a magic wand and you could do it all over again, would you do it all over again?
Yeah, I would. Even if I had to be sick again.
Really?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Only because I'm a lot healthier and I feel a lot better than I have in 15 years.
Was there like a moment in the last 6 months where, because you have said that you've lost over 100 pounds on your own when you were working, when you were younger. And so was there a point in this journey in the last 6 months where you're like, I think this is actually going to be it. I think we found like the winner.
Yeah. I feel I have lost so much in such a short period of time. Only because I forced myself and dedicated myself in the very beginning, even with me doing my pre-op diet for so long, when I was only supposed to do it for 2 weeks. I had to literally get myself in the mind frame of it, because I had snapped so hard in April with the whole everything just going downhill. I think I finally just put myself in the headspace that I needed to be. I mean, I'm in a size 14 pants. I was wearing a size 24. I haven't wore a 14 since I was probably, well, when I lost that 150 pounds, I had wore them then. So that was in probably 2010-ish, 2008, 2009. So 13 years or more.
Okay, it just kind of pains me that we say like some year in the 2000s is still like 13 years ago. I still tell people that the 90s was 20 years ago.
Yeah, no. I'm wearing a large shirt. I haven't worn a large shirt since even before then. Because even when I lost 100 pounds, I lost it like belly, a little bit belly and down because I was bigger down waist, but like I still wasn't in a large shirt. I was still in an extra large to a 1X then. I'm in a freaking large.
How does it feel?
Amazing. Freaking amazing.
Like, I remember I honestly did not think it was going to work. Because I've done other programs in the past. I followed everything to a T. I did what I was supposed to do and it didn't work. So I was truly convinced. For me, I was 350 pounds and I was like, every program I did, I would get to 285 and then nothing would happen. So I'm like, if this surgery can get me to 284.9, I will consider this surgery a success. Like the idea of being a size large, or the idea of being in Wonderland, or the idea of doing certain activities, didn't even register it to me as even being possible. For me, I was like, if I can just get to 287.9 or whatever that number was, then this would have been considered a success.
Go put them up. Yeah, so at first,
you get puzzles for me? Can I put the puzzle back?
In just a minute. So in my head at first, I'm like, okay, I've got to get right. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna be really freaking mad. I'm gonna be really bummed about it. And so I think my first goal was to get under 300 pounds, which was only 40 pounds. So when I hit that, I'm like, okay, it's working. I'm doing a little bit. And then once I hit like 60 and 80 pounds, I'm like, and my sister and everybody's like, oh my gosh, you've lost so much weight in your face. Oh my gosh, you're starting to look like your mama so much. My shoe size changed. I've wore a 10 and 11 inch shoes my entire life. When I was 12,
I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either until I could put on a 9.5 and some 9s.
I think when I remember being like 14 and my best friend and I would wear the same shoes, and I was probably like a 9.5 or a 10. And now I'm like wearing shoes that are like 8 or 8.5. And I'm like, I didn't know that your feet physically, and I don't know if it's that it physically shrinks, or is it because when you're really heavy, your body's constantly swollen from all of the weight being put on your feet, that I was like, I don't know if it's just that the swelling has gone down, because I can't imagine the bones in your feet are really getting smaller.
Right. Yeah. I think it's a mixture of both, because I used to be 5'7", now I'm 5'6.5".
Oh, don't tell me that, because I'm 5'7", and now I don't want to measure myself, because if I'm not 5'7", I'm going to be really upset.
I literally dropped a half an inch because my feet were so big and thick.
Okay, now you're freaking me out. I'm not gonna like measure my height anytime soon. What would you say, like, so far has been like your favorite NSV to date?
I probably have two, but my very most favorite is probably going to be when I had gotten to about 85 pounds of loss. She was running up and down the hallway and wanted me to chase her. And I was doing it. I was running from one end of the house to the other. I wasn't huffing and puffing. I wasn't out of breath. I was laughing. She was laughing. She'd run up and she'd jump into me. She's like, Gigi, you're keeping up with me. You're chasing me. And I literally had to just stop for a minute. And my sister come out there and she's like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, we're just running. We're just chasing each other. And like, after it was said and done, like, I probably was glowing 80 shades of red, because I can't run. Who's running at 350 pounds? I'm not running at 350. I'm not running at 230 or at 260, 280. No.
I don't know. Something happens. And it's funny because you're 6 months now. I don't know if it was like around month 4 or 5 or something like that. And I'll never forget, like, Eric was, he likes to save the world from the insurgents on the Xbox. So he's constantly saving the world. So I remember he was, in the battlefields, and I was literally bouncing off the walls. It was like 9:30 at night. And I was literally just like dancing, and I was acting crazy. And he was like, dude, like,
what are you doing?
What's wrong with you? And I'm like, I honestly, like, I had so much, I felt like I was a toddler, where like, you've been cooped up in the house all day and you need to expel this energy. And I was like, where in the world is this coming from? Because that was never, it was
exhausting. Tonight, Eva said, Danielle, we need your energy. I've never had this much energy.
It's
never.
insane.
And they're like, you were just a ball full of it. And I'm like, 115 pounds gone.
Okay, I can tell you this. I can tell you this, though. It increases from here.
I hope so.
It does. I like, now, granted, I had a rocky time in the middle of my journey, like 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
but I like, well, you know what I've been going through. I've been like so
Yeah.
overwhelmed lately with life that I have not been able to really sit and reflect. But it was a year ago today that I started that 75 hard challenge, the original challenge. And so
Yeah.
today is actually the 1 year anniversary. And I was thinking earlier, just
Yay.
how much has happened in the last year and how much I have accomplished that I never thought it was possible. And like I was 33, I think, or something like that when I had the surgery. And I have more energy now than I did 10 years ago that I had 20 years ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's just, and I don't know if there's something that shifts inside of you, like the more activities you do because you're excited that you can physically do things,
Yeah.
that it just like spurs you on and motivates you to like, okay, I just did this. What else am I gonna do? Like you're like this lap
Right.
dog and you're like wagging your tail, like, what else you got for me? Like let's go. And you're like, and and Eric's like, it's 6 a.m. Can like you just like take a chill
Calm
pill?
down.
And I'm like, "Ah, it's Saturday. We gotta go do something. Like, and you just get like so excited.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm excited for you because I can tell you, at least with me, I feel like it progressively gets better even still over time. Yes, there's a time when your body's gonna stop. You're gonna, not that you're gonna plateau, but you're gonna get to the healthy weight that you're pretty much gonna maintain for the
Yeah.
rest of your life. But so it's not so much about the scale anymore as in like, okay, what else are we gonna do? And like and
Yeah.
as little one starts getting older, she's going to want to do more things and she's going to want to do more daring things and roller coasters
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Yeah.
going to be fun, which I can't even believe. And we talk about this all the time. Like we're almost out of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get a couple of important questions out of the way. And then and I want you guys who've been watching the show live, don't think that I was ignoring all of your comments and stuff like that. But Dee Dee is definitely a talker, and I was very engrossed with what she was saying. So I didn't want to cut her off to address all of the comments. But first and foremost, thank you to everybody who's been watching and giving amazing
Yes. Thank
love
you.
and support to Dee Dee, because I just think that's absolutely awesome. And I love it when you guys, contribute to the conversation, even if we aren't able to respond immediately right away. I don't want you guys to think that your voices are not being heard and that we're not listening. But for Dee Dee, I want to put her in the hot seat for a second. And for somebody who might be watching this and either on the fence about having bariatric surgery, or maybe is about to have their surgery, or maybe they just had their surgery, or maybe they're just having a rough day today post-op and they're regretting everything. What advice would you give to somebody?
Well, I just gave it to somebody yesterday.
Well, give it
And
to
I
me.
would say stop and breathe, relax, and just know that you are on this journey and you're going to kick its butt, and you're going to have your ups and you're going to have your downs and you're going to have your roller coasters and you're going to have your jumping off the cliff moments, but you are going to do it. You are going to get to where you need to be. You have so much support, whether it's me or it's the Berry community on TikTok. I'm always on live, obviously, here the last couple of months. Come through the lives, join our family. Know that there is nothing in the world that can stop you except for yourself.
That was a really good answer for not being prepared.
Yeah.
I like it. Again, not your first rodeo. And then, and like this is a good question to ask you because I've been doing this podcast now on my own since I believe maybe around June or so. So it's probably
Mhm.
been like 8 months or something like that. Before I was really on TikTok. And I didn't really get into the TikTok community until really like maybe in the last 2 months or so.
Mhm.
Um, it sounds like you've been pretty much part of at least the TikTok or social media community since before you officially had your surgery, because you'd said that you were looking at videos and you were like joining things.
Mhm.
How important do you think community is, whether it's in social media or in person? Like, how important of a role do you think it plays with people's success?
It plays It's a very important place because a lot of us, just like me, I was alone for so long. I struggled by myself, internally, mentally. Um, Especially us as bigger people, and those that don't have the support, or you lose your support. Like I lost my mom, I lost my grandfather, and we go through those trials and those tribulations. We always need somebody, whether it's one person or it's 10 or it's 30, and whether it's on Facebook or TikTok, or somebody in person. We always need somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's anything that I can contribute to anybody, whether it's on Facebook or it's TikTok, and I tell them all the time, I have always been one to give my shirt off my back to somebody
Mm-hmm.
that's I have a big heart. I've always had a big heart. I've always tried to help anybody. Um, And I think the biggest thing is we don't need to be alone, because it is such a struggle. It is such a mental space that we put ourselves in, especially when we get those plateaus and we're hitting those bottoms where we think, oh my gosh, the scale is broken, or some little bump in the road happens, or you gain 8 ounces, or you gain 2 pounds. We need those people that say, hey, it's water weight, like Katie did me last week.
Mm-hmm.
Lose it in the next week, or increase your protein, or increase your water, or try to eat eggs, or try to eat refried beans. We all need somebody in our corner.
Yeah.
So I think if you can stay out of the drama areas and you can stick with the people that actually support you and actually love you and mean the best for you, I think the world would be a better place. And I think so many more people that have had the surgery would come a long way just by being with those people that
I think
100% have their back.
I think that is so true. And I didn't realize how much I missed out on until you're part of something that exists and you're like, how did I ever function without this? Because there was no TikTok 8 years ago, 9
Right.
years ago. I had Google. That was my best friend. But then the problem with Google is the doctors don't prepare you for when your blood pressure changes when as your body's losing weight, and they don't prepare you for like lightheaded dizzy spells or hair loss or vitamin deficiencies.
Hmm.
So you go to Google, who's your best friend, and you say, I am getting really dizzy and I'm getting really lightheaded, and Google says you need to go to the hospital because you have a rare disease, you got 6 weeks left to live, say your
Yes.
goodbyes, and you're like, holy shit.
I'm
And
dying.
I Googled everything for
I know.
years, and Google told me I was dying. I had a rare disease. I wasn't going to make it. And it would have been really nice to make a video on TikTok and said, hey, I can't explain it, but it feels like I am sucking on a penny right now. And I've never sucked on a penny. So I don't even know why I'm describing it this way, but it's the only
Yeah.
thing is I'm sucking on a penny because Google says I'm about to die and that I have some
Right.
kind of a mouth cancer. And then somebody could have been like, no, your body's in ketosis. That's what it tastes like and that's temporary. And you're like, oh,
No,
that's not
thanks.
so bad then. I don't have to go to the urgent care right now and get like CT scans or whatever. Like I didn't realize how many other people were experiencing the same thing
Same
that I
thing.
was, but
Hmm.
nobody was talking about it because there wasn't any platforms back then. And
Yeah.
when I joined, the bariatric community on TikTok a couple months ago, my thought was, no one's going to want to talk to me about this stuff. Like, I'm so far removed, people want to bond with, like they're doing the 1 ounce sips together and they're going through the different phases together. And like, you don't want some old battle axe, creeping up on pages and stuff like that. And it's just blown me away by how amazing
Hmm.
the 99% of the community really is with people in lifting each other up and not trying to compete and being, hey, you're not alone. Stay away from Google. Like, we got this together. And I don't know. It just,
Because
I
Google
didn't,
will tell you you're malnutritioned.
yeah.
It
I'm
did
t-
me the other
let,
day.
let me tell you something. When I had my nervous breakdown a few years ago, maybe I'll make a whole show about that. I don't know. I Google told me I had a brain tumor. Legit. Full-blown brain tumor. 2:00 in the morning. I can't go to sleep. I'm telling my husband, because I had nothing but panic attacks morning, noon, and night for like a 2-3 week span. And I told my husband, I have a brain tumor. And he goes, Sherry, you don't have a brain tumor. And I said, honey, Google said I have a brain tumor. I need to go to the hospital because they need to operate. I am going to die. And he said, you don't have a freaking brain tumor. He's like, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to take you to the hospital. You are going to pass out the minute we get there because you will be in a safe place and you'll calm down. And then I will have to sit there for 6 hours watching you snore your ass away until you're discharged when they tell you that nothing's wrong. And I was like, fine, I'll just die. Don't go back to bed. It's going to be fine. So I go, and then and like 20 minutes later, he comes out and he goes, get your shoes on. Because he knows there's a part of him that's like, okay, what if she really does have a brain tumor? And then I let her die. And then we get to the hospital and they're like, what's wrong? And I said, and he goes, my wife says that she has a brain tumor. And the doctor's like looking at me and he's looking at the husband, and Eric's just, and I was like, I have a brain tumor. I need a CT scan because that is what Google told me. So I'm proud to say that in the last 4 years, I have been banned from Googling.
Google.
I'm not allowed to Google things anymore. Now I just go to TikTok and I get my, my news, and I get my health reports, and I get, my side effects from TikTok. So don't go to Google.
Yeah. No Googling.
Oh my God. Like how did I function back then? It wouldn't make, granted, I am a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. I went through the majority of my journey completely on my own, but I learned a lot along the way, which brings me joy that I at least get to help other people who are in their journeys too. And I can tell people now, you don't have to Google it. There's an explanation for it. I learned it after the fact. But
TikTok, they know.
Now we go to TikTok, which I'm so bummed now that like we're practically out of time. But well, I mean, like, first and foremost, and I said at the top of the show, I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today and talk to everybody who's been watching and that will be listening later. Is there anything that you would like to add before we wrap everything up? Yeah, Google is terrible.
They are. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for having me. You are a rock star. I know you have your good days and your bad days, but you're not alone either.
I know.
And we are all here to help you, whether through cell phone, text message, or TikTok. Just don't Google.
Yeah, I'm not Googling.
Okay. And the second thing I would say is everybody that is going through the journey. You can go ahead. Everybody that is going through the journey, and those that know me or those that are on here that don't really know me, don't ever give up on yourself. Because I struggled with that a lot. And I've found that there are a lot of people that get to that place where.
Can you help me?
Can
you write that lot of people?
Okay. They get to the place where they're really sad and they're really depressed. And you are going to have those days. You are going to have your roller coasters, and you're going to have your up and down days. But phone somebody. Call me, call Brandy, call anybody. Don't try and suffer through it alone, because you're not alone. We are out there. Those that actually care, those that actually do love you are out there. And that's all I try and do on TikTok is I just try to love people and support them. Because I've been there. I've been that person with nobody. I've been that person that has completely broke down. I did that in April of last year. So as rough as it gets, there's always somebody out there that will listen. Okay, in just a second. There's always somebody out there that will listen, whether it's me or somebody else that has been through this. And everybody's journey is different. Like there's several people that didn't get sick like I did. I mean, some people had an easy road. Unfortunately, I couldn't take the easy road throughout my life, unfortunately. But just know that there is a light at the tunnel. And we're all going to rock our journey the best that we can. And we're all going to have hot girl summer next year.
Heck yes. The This last year was the very first year in 8.5 years that I actually wore a bathing suit out in public. It was
Yeah, I
kind of crazy.
bought my first bathing suit that was so out of my comfort zone, and you will see it in Daytona, that I flipped my own self out when
Cindy.
I put it on. So yeah, it's been a very interesting because I've always wore. Yes, I've always been covered up. I've always wore
Right.
a tankini or a t-shirt. Here,
Can
here.
we put that on?
Yes, in just a minute. Just turn it on for right now. I'm almost done.
I don't want this one on.
I've always been covered up. So
Yeah.
rock it out.
Can we go back?
End your journey where you feel comfortable and where you feel healthy and love yourself.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great way to end the show. And if anybody has any additional questions for Dee Dee, you can always reach out to me at info@sherryarcuria.com. You can go to sherryarcuria.com for the website. Hopefully Dee Dee will join us again, maybe for the 1-year post-op, and see how much further we have gone along.
Yes.
And if anybody's interested in sharing their story, you can also send me an email at info@sherryarcuria.com. I would love to share as many stories as I can from people in all different phases and, places in their life and in their journey. And like I said, I want to be able to talk about the stuff that they're not always preparing you for. And Dee Dee had a rough time the first couple of days, and some people are not going to have the same issues. And I've talked to people like Cindy, who's watching right now. Cindy has had an absolutely amazingly horrific experience, but when you hear her story and she would do it all over again, it just lets us know that we're not alone in this. So if you're ever going through something, you can talk to Dee Dee, you can talk to me, you can talk to anybody in the bariatric community, and everybody's there for you.
Sure.
So for everybody who's been watching and contributing today,
Okay.
thank you so very much. And Dee Dee, it truly was a pleasure having you today. And you guys, absolutely. And you guys absolutely have an amazing rest of your week.